So this question involves sulfur fumes number 21. Take a moment to look this one over, and then we can talk about it together. We can accept, so a bit different than the ones we've done previously. This is number 21, of course, so it will be on the more difficult side. We'll want to find 4 that weaken, eliminate them, and then the one that doesn't weaken, of course, will be our answer. So take a moment, read this over, then we'll talk about it. Anyone have thoughts on this one? This is, of course, a bit of a trickier one. Is the answer A. A is the answer, so the student's correct here. Does it strengthen the argument? The chemicals closely but not perfectly reproduce the corresponding natural sense. I'd say, yeah. I mean, I think that the fact that they do closely reproduce the corresponding sense, that's good. That's a good thing. We do want them to closely reproduce them, and whether it's perfect or not, I don't think is really necessary. As long as it's close enough, I think that's good. So I do think that A actually strengthens it when typically for a weaken except for a weaken, one will strengthen or have no effect. The correct answer usually has no effect, but I do think you can make the argument here that A, in this case, strengthens it. Now, the other 4, of course, do need to weaken it. So we want B, C, D, and E to all weaken it if A is correct. And of course, A is correct. It does not weaken it. I'd say it could somewhat strengthen it. But B, the subjects were tested in the environments where they usually work. If they were tested where they usually work, what does that do? I think it kind of gives them more of a context clue in a way, I would say. So I think that does weaken the argument to some extent. Looking at C, eliminate because it weakens, D weakens, E weakens. The students think that all of those weaken it, which is good, but we want to look at why. So C, they participate in several earlier studies that involve the identification of sense. If they have, it's kind of like they've been smell training in a way, like they've been training their scent identification abilities, and so they've become much better at it. So I think that also would, of course, weaken the argument and give us additional reasons to think that the control group is good at what they're doing. D, every sulfur-emitting factory also emits other noxious fumes. So if they emit others as well, then maybe it's not the sulfur in particular, which of course the conclusion was, it's the sulfur fumes specifically that damage one's sense of smell. So D is out for that reason as well. Then looking at E, the factory workers are less likely than others to be exposed to many of the scents. So they just don't know about the scents that are being tested in the first place. So maybe they can't identify chocolate or spices like, I don't know, chili powder or something, because they've never even seen it before or smelled it before in that case. So E's out as well, and then A by elimination. So you got the answer right, but I think that it's important to really try to articulate them. And of course, in this case, B is not really irrelevant. If A is the one that does not weaken, then B must weaken in some way. And so it's important to figure out why it weakens.